Presented by RomulusIT.com, offering remote support for common computer problems.
So, deals are still done in a lot of the same way as you mentioned, but the technology's changed. With your advisory and having been both in politics and in the private sector, what's your experience? How should individuals approach a negotiation or a sales pitch to, successfully get a deal done?
Well, first of all, I think you need to know the subject matter that you're negotiating. And that means knowing both sides of the question. And as far as negotiations are concerned, that has not really changed. You make an offer, you make a counteroffer. You eventually arrive at a consensus, and the deal is put together. I don't think that has changed one bit. It's just now the means of communication. Instead of getting on an airplane and flying from Phoenix to New York to negotiate, you can do it over the video conferencing lines. You can see each other, you can talk to each other live. That has changed. The communications, the technology has changed, but the process is pretty much still the same. And involved in that process, you have to have trust in who you're dealing and doing business with. And that's not something that's gained instantaneously. It tends to be built over time through relationships that you develop.
Now, you said it takes a little bit of give and take. Have there been examples when, these days, because everything is global, have you had to encounter dealing with, maybe a company in a different country or the issues of differences in culture where you might not be able to necessarily understand, what their wants are to address that?
Well, I think that, yes, there is differences internationally in different cultures that you're dealing with. I recall wanting to do business in Taiwan. And so I flew to Taiwan, and I had some very productive meetings with individual business people there, but came away with no deal, only with prospects of opportunities. And I realized quickly that unlike in America, when you can almost meet somebody and come to some kind of agreement, there you have to build relationships. That takes a lot of what I call drinking tea and brandy over dinners and lunches and over a period of time before both sides feel comfortable enough to engage in some kind of solid relationship based on trust that things can begin to happen. So I find that kind of relationships, especially in China and perhaps in Japan, are not as quick as they are here in the United States. And that's something you have to get used to. And so I decided after my trip back here that I was not going to do any business in Taiwan or China because I didn't want to sit on an airplane for 13, 14 hours going back and forth. I could spend the same amount of time here in the United States. There's plenty of business to do here that I didn't need to venture outside. So I don't really do too much business outside of the United States because of that.
This episode is brought to you by Romulus IT, offering fast, affordable remote support for common computer problems, including troubleshooting, health checks, virus removal, and software support. Visit RomulusIT.com to get your computer back on track.